Okay, so all great communication and great ideas come from making sure we are clarifying everything that is not clear. Duh. So, one of the assumptions out there is when we look at frameworks of intention. Okay, so the Georgia Guidestones is a framework of intention. Me speaking about writing and doing YouTube videos and understanding words, there's a framework of intention, but there are assumptions around timelines. Okay, and it's interesting that I see this in all aspects of relationship. I see that in the conspiracy world when there are frameworks that are being developed because there is a vision, someone has a vision, and not everybody is on board with the vision. And so there are assumptions, first of all, of intention, and then there are assumptions of timelines. And so I am developing a framework, okay? I am developing a framework that is going to be like none other that even I even thought I could possibly even do or think of. But I'm in the process of developing a framework, which means that right now I am in the middle of in the same evolution as all of you, but I have achieved certain levels of evolution that not everybody has achieved yet, and I get that. And so when I do point out certain things that I see in people in my Jilly Juice world, I know it comes off like I am pressuring the hell out of them. Oh, and I probably am. Okay, so I will be honest. I will pressure the hell out of people. I am that kind of person. But then remember, I come from the salesman background. I'm all about do it now, do it now, do it now, because oh my God, it's amazing. You got to be where I'm at. And not everybody is getting there as fast as I'm getting there because of lifestyle, belief systems, and things that are going on, as well as then also predispositions. So understand that I'm developing a framework. The Georgia Guidestones is a framework. All of the changes in our society are basically a framework being developed that will be an eventual doctrine. It will be an eventual guideline. It will be an eventual best practice, so to speak. Okay? But I want to make sure that you guys understand that I know you have your own timetables, because timetables are all based upon somebody's personal evolution. But what I want you to understand is that I'm developing a framework. And so when I say at some point you got to start writing, at some point you got to start doing, your own recording, your videos on whatever it is you want to talk about to professionally develop your speaking ability, as well as be able to express yourself if you have an idea and you're not stuck on not knowing how to communicate it. I want all of you guys to be proficient in verbal ability, corresponding ability, and biophysical ability, okay, or communication, or whatever you want to call it. And so, but I know it's going to take time. Just like the Georgia Guidestones, you're not going to get to 500 million in like 10 years, okay? Because that would be an amazing shock, a crazy shock to the world to go from 7 billion to 500 million. But right now you're seeing what's going on in India, and I could see it might actually be realized in the time frame that some people are projecting. But still, that's not 100%. That's only 1 billion people. Okay, when you think about 7 billion to 500 million, you can't eradicate. I mean, you can't eradicate 1 billion people in like a year. That would be insane. Okay, so a lot of these frameworks out there do have timetables that may be, that may be what they want, like they have an intention, but it doesn't always seem to going to be realized by each individual person. Each individual person is going to develop their own framework of how they're going to work with then the framework of like the macro framework. So there's micro framework, which is you and all of your belief systems and how you do things. And there's a macro framework of which the system is still in the process of developing. So I'm in the process of developing a framework. So is the system as a whole. And then where do you fall in line with all of that? Where do you fit in with all of that? And what is your path to development in that? I mean, and so when I point out certain things, behaviors, ways of being. It's not to really call them out to be like, attacking anyone. It's having you guys see how in which we operate and what would be a path to another type of evolution. Now, you're going to do it your own way. I know that. Believe me, I know that. But I also know the evolution is feeling so uncomfortable, so out of your element, and then you still survive it. That's evolution. When you stay in your comfort, like you've heard, this is so cliche, but you stay in your comfort zone, you're never going to evolve. That's why I say do the hard things. Show the bad part of yourself. Show the bad fit. Well, not necessarily all the time, like show everything bad, but be real. Be everything that you weren't before, because maybe you were within a very limited framework and it's time to expand it. Okay? And so, yeah, I will piss off. I've pissed off I pissed off my parents. I pissed off my husband. I pissed off a lot of people because there are ways of which I think that are completely so different than a lot of people out there. And I can't tell you where it comes from. Okay? I mean, I'm an immigrant from Vietnam, was adopted in the Vietnam War. Where I came from, I have no idea. That even could be a story. Who knows? There was a lot of things going on during the Vietnam War, and science and experiments were going on even prior to the Vietnam War. So who knows where the hell I came from? But what doesn't matter where I came from. What matters is that we see a possibility of of developing a very, I would say, balanced future with a specific measurable result that, yes, immortality, indefinite life, and not constantly suffering. Because that's really what keeps people very immobilized, is the fact they're stuck in the suffering stages of their life until they pass away. And then also the spells that we cast upon each other through language, through words, through way we communicate, our belief systems, all of that. And so my point is to tie everything together so that way you are aware of the spells that you cast on yourself as well as your kids and your coworkers. And what kind of framework could you develop in your world to then design an amazing future for yourself and then give that ability to the people who are open to hearing that. And so I made up a new word. It's called abdoconvert. What the hell is abdoconvert? It's a mixture of absorbing, deflecting, abdoconvert. It's a mixture of absorbing, deflecting, and then converting, because you're always trying to convert energy. And so cancer, disease, and chronic illness is the inability to convert energy properly and balanced. And so if you understand that how to absorb on a balanced level, how to deflect on a balanced level, and then how to convert all of that in a balanced way to where the outcome is life and peace and limited suffering, then evolution will always be in the future. You will always be able to evolve, because there's always going to be conflict out there. You can't get away from conflict. Conflict is just evolution. And when there's so much conflict, that's too much evolution for one person to handle. And some people don't have what it takes to handle that much evolution. So then their natural reaction, if that's what their body is defending itself to do, is going to deflect on a continuous basis. And if you're that imbalanced, you're going to deflect everything, even the good stuff. And so this is where the Julie Juice comes in. It creates a blank slate, and then you will know what to deflect and what to absorb, and you will convert it correctly to then give you that balanced type of future. Because yeah, you see it all over, everywhere. Everybody is looping in all of their spells that was cast upon them from their parents or grandparents, their husbands or wives, mothers and fathers and whatever. And so at some point you got to break the spell. I mean, you don't have to, I guess, if you like to suffer and you really don't care if your predispositions are going to come kicking in at inopportune times, fine. If you want to keep rolling the dice all the time and playing Russian roulette, fine. But I'm trying to give you guys the option not to play Russian roulette, to stop rolling the dice all the time, every single time you go outside, and you have some kind of semblance of control over your body, mind, and spirit, but control over your life figuratively and literally. And so I see many people out there that don't have any control over their life, literally and figuratively, and it pains the hell out of me, but I know there's nothing I could do about it. But if I can give you the blank slate, the avenues, the tools to be able to control your life, figuratively and literally, then I could see then an evolution is possible for you as well as my community. I might be the only seed of life in my community, in my literal physical community, and I'm okay with that. There might be a few people out there that might take on my information that I don't know them, really personally, so I don't really risk too much of meeting people who are saying they're doing the J Juice, because let me tell you, if 50 or 100 years from now and you've known me here in Ohio and I know you and you're still around and you look amazing and you look youthful and vital and you're doing whatever you're doing and you're like, hey, yeah, I've been doing your J Juice ever since 2020, Jillian. Now it's 2050 or 2070 and here I am. I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much. I could see that in time that, yeah, you were serious. Because that's what I'm projecting is the immortality, right? The indefinite life. It means that you should be around to the next 30, 40, 50 years, not looking like an old sage. Not looking like you are the walking dead. I should see you in 20 years looking like you are the bastion of youth and vitality and innovation. I mean, that's the real true nature of all of this is innovation. Anybody can regurgitate stuff. That's the thing about gurus and cult leaders and teachers and doctors is they want regurgitation from their flock. And so what it pains me to see when someone regurgitates everything I say, I don't want you to regurgitate. I want you to absorb, deflect and convert and be original. And so, I'm trying to get away from the whole, the academia way of doing things, which is casting spells through regurgitation. But if you're going to regurgitate, make sure that it's for a very short amount of time, and then eventually you convert it to something that you own. And that's what the Jilly Juice is about, is owning your framework. It's not adopting someone else. Now, I know when you're in a professional capacity, they have a specific best practices. So you do enough regurgitating to do your job. But then the ability to compartmentalize and then merge together and know and discern on what you need to regurgitate and what you need to build on your own, those two can be very strong. Even though they are working side by side, they both can be very strong. You're not going to be so strong in the regurgitation and then so weak in your innovation, your personal innovation, that those two worlds never meet. I want you to meet those two worlds together. They belong together. Okay? And so I get it. Some of you have to regurgitate, I guess. But then also too, it's my ego. I don't want people thinking that I'm creating now a bunch of, zombies either, but that's my own thing. I know you guys all have your own way of doing stuff, and I get it. But then I'm going to press you even further, say, okay, instead of regurgitate, just use different words, find a way to reflect back in a different way. And so that way I know that you do get it. Okay, because that tells me that if you can take the time to develop a reflection back that isn't the same thing or isn't borrowed from somebody else, that you have ownership on developing your ability to communicate and use your own words type of thing. And so, but everything does take time. The Georgia Guidestones are not going to be realized tomorrow. You're not going to be evolved to the level of playing with words like I'm playing with it. Maybe not tomorrow. It might be in the next 5 years. You may not be ready to do any kind of writing or any kind of videos of yourself in the next year or so. But I want to develop that framework so this is what is the pathway, and that's what my book is going to be about. It's going to develop the framework for you to work within, but it's not going to limit you. Okay, so there are frameworks out there like doctrines that limit people, and there are frameworks and doctrines that are just like a guide, but it's not like you have to meet this specific level of whatever in like 90 days or 30 days. It may take you 15 years to finally do a video of yourself. It may take you 5 or 10 years to actually write something. I hope it doesn't take that long for some of you, but it might. It might. Okay? But I should not put a judgment on your time frame. I'm very much go, 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 run, 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 get to the next step, get to the next level, right away, because I'm that kind of type A personality. But I also have created the space to do that. I have made my life to where I can do things what I want to do on a very fast level. And thank God my husband, he is very, very able, even with the money that he makes, which actually is pretty average for Ohioans. And I don't need for much. So really, I let him get all of his toys, everything that he could possibly want without putting me in the poorhouse, because I don't care. I don't need anything more than just clothes on my back, food to eat, and internet, and shelter. And that's the minimum. And if I want anything more than that, then yes, I'll earn it myself through my books or whatever. But I understand, that not all of us have that lifestyle to put 100% eggs in the basket of self-development. That some people are very much pulled in so many different directions. And so that's my own ego, that's my own conflict that I will deal with myself, but I still want to say that you guys will have your own time frame. So I do put a lot of pressure on all of you, and I will sometimes use my closest people as examples, and it may seem like I'm attacking them, but I'm not attacking them. Let me tell you, John and Bridget are very, very, very strong people. Okay? Even George was able to stick with it with me when we were trying to figure out, the way he spoke about cigarettes and additives versus organic or whatever, right? And we finally figured out that it wasn't about health, it was about taste. But that didn't really come off because I had to figure out, since he wasn't specifying and I wasn't asking the right questions, it took about several comments to get to finally what the root cause was from my gut reaction to, people's comments. And so sometimes it takes that, but it also takes me risking with those that have been on the juice for a while that can handle that. But some of you cannot handle my feedback, and so you won't say anything at all, or you won't even comment because you're not strong enough to see if what you're saying is going to be like, is she gonna confront me? And I get it too. But I'll tell you what, George is strong, John is strong, so is Bridget, because Bridget says, I do it my way. Well, no shit, yes you will. And that's great, you do it your way. And what I failed to actually get across was the fact that timelines are going to be different for everybody. And so that's some of the things that I've learned, okay? But the overall bigger picture is that we are developing a framework. When it gets realized, it's anybody's guess. But at least you have that path to get there. Okay? All right, bye.